Okay guys, so let's get started. I already have this folder created on VS Code and I have it opened already. That's where we are going to be creating our Django backend for our task manager. The first thing that we need to do is to create a virtual environment right in this folder. So I'm going to type in the command to do that, and that will load the virtual environment. Now we have a virtual environment already created. The next thing for us to do is to actually set our project to make use of the virtual environment right inside the one that is existing inside of our project. So we can actually press Ctrl P here to access that, and we search for Python, select interpreter, then it's going to give us options, and make sure to select the one that exists in your virtual environment. So we are making use of the Python instance that exists within our virtual environment that we just created. Don't make use of the global one that you are going to be shown. So by doing that, we've initialized that. So I can create a new terminal. I'm just going to do that to ensure that that is working fine, and as you can see here, Python virtual environment was successfully activated. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to close my previous shell as well. So now that we have our virtual environment already created, the next thing I want to do is to install the main requirements, the main plugins that we are going to be needing, and I'll just paste it here. We're going to be installing Django REST Framework, JOSA, then Django cause headers. So we're going to be installing those. Now we have our requirements being successfully installed for us. So I'm just going to clear my terminal, just give room. And after that, what we need to do now is to create our project, and I'm just going to run the command Django admin start project task manager, and I'm going to add a full stop here because I want the project to not have a subfolder. I don't want the project to be created in another folder, so I'm just going to have that here, and that would be created as well. And once that is created, the next thing is to create our app. So I'm going to say python manage.py start app, and I'm going to call that task. Okay, so that has been created as well. The next thing that we now want to do is to add all of these things to our installed apps in our settings. We need to update that. So I'm going to go right into the task manager, go to the settings, and I'm going to look for installed apps. I'm going to look for installed apps. I'm just going to add some few things right there. Let me just copy and paste that. Okay, so I'm going to be adding some values for our REST framework, auth token, the JOSA, the course headers, and I'm also going to add the task as well. Okay, so for the middleware, I'm going to add a middleware there as well for the course headers. Just going to copy that and paste pretty quick. Okay, so we have that already added. So this is going to handle the course headers. We also have some few settings for the course headers that we also need to add. So I'm just going to paste that as well, and I'm going to go to the bottom of the file. Okay, so this is going to allow our course headers to be seen. It's going to allow our API endpoints to be accessible from the front end, from the Flutter front end. And then I also need to add the REST framework configuration that is going to handle our token authentication. And yep, so I'm going to paste that as well. So with that, we are all set up for our settings, and the next thing is for us to go to our URL and to also set up our URL as well. I'm going to copy and paste that. So I'm going to go to the URLs now, and right here I'm just going to paste the configuration for the JOSA that is going to be handling the authentication. And in our Django URLs here, I'm going to import include. So, and lastly, I'm going to import the URL for our task. We haven't created that yet, so include task.urls. Okay, so with that we can access our URL from the task. The next thing that we want to do now is to create our model in the task. So we're going to create a simple task model that we're going to be working with, and our model is going to have a user, title, description, a field to check if it is completed or not, and also the time when the task was created. So let's get right into it. I'm just going to say class task, then models dot model, and the first one I'm going to create is our user, and that is going to be from models dot foreign key, and we're going to make use of user. So we're going to be making use of the default user that we are going to be getting from our Django DB. So I'm going to say on delete models dot cascade. So now from Django dot contrib dot auth dot models import user. Okay, so we have that. Then we now need the title of our model, so that will be a char field, and I'm going to give it a max length of let's see 250, and we're also going to have a description, and I'm just going to make that a text field. So text field, and I think completed. So that will be a boolean field, models dot boolean, and I'm going to set the default value to false. So I'm going to set default value to false. We're going to have another one created at, and that will be models dot date time field. Let's add auto now had, that's true. Okay, so we already have our task field task model created. So I'm going to add this function here. Just going to return the title. Yeah, so we have that created now. Now the next thing we want to do is to create a serializer for it that we would actually be making use of. So we're going to create a serializer file. So right here, serializers.py, and because we are using the Django REST framework, so I'm just going to copy and paste all of that. We have the serializer here. We're making use of the REST framework, and we are basically accessing all the fields, but we are making the user field a read-only field. Now the next thing we want to do is to go to our view, and we would also going to be making use of the REST framework view set that to just create our view. So I'm just going to be copying and paste that. Okay, so we have this right here where we are making use of the REST framework view set. We're importing our model. We're making use of the serializer class, which is the one we just created, the task serializer, and this permission here is limiting our access, letting us know that if you are not authenticated, if you are not an authenticated user, you cannot access this particular serializer to either update, read from it, or interact with it in any way or any form. So here is a way to just filter the tasks that we will be retrieving by the date they were created at, and here is where we are performing the save action, where we are actually creating the task using our serializer. Now moving on, we're going to be creating the URLs, and I'm just going to quickly copy and paste that as well. So we have the URL, and we'll be creating a file for that as well, urls.py, and here we are creating a router for our view set, and we're giving it task, and here we are creating a URL pattern which maps to this particular router that we are creating right here. So with that, we have our task manager backend API set up to actually perform CRUD, which is to create, read, update, and delete. Now the next few steps we are just going to do is to migrate, make migrations, migrate, and also create a super user. So here I'm going to be running the command python manage.py make migrations. Now that is done, we would actually migrate now. So I'm going to say python manage.py migrate. Now that we've successfully made our migration, we are now going to be creating a super user. And I'm just going to be creating a simple super user here. Just say username admin at gmail.com, and I'm going to give the password a simple password. So yeah, so we have successfully created our backend API using Django REST Framework for our task manager. And now what's next is for us to actually put that to a test. Now guys, we're going to be diving into the testing proper, and I'm making use of EchoAPI, which is a more like a Postman alternative. You can install the plugin on your VS Code and make use of it just the way I am doing right here. So the first test we are going to be running is for registering our user. So I have a user right here that I've already created a test user with a password, and we're going to be running that. So I'm going to send that. We're already running our server in the local host using python manage.py run server. So that is running our server in the local host, and as you can see here, we have the user created successfully for us, and we can see the ID number, which is 3. The next one that we're going to do is we're going to try to log in our user and get our authentication token, our authorization token. So here I already have that as well. The values are there, so we're just going to run that as well. And as you can see, we have our authentication token right here. So I'm just going to copy that because we're going to be making use of it. So now the next one is to create a task. So for us to create a task, we know that we're already logged in. We already have our values here for to create a task. Our title, our description, and whether it's completed, which is set to false. Then we're going to go to our headers, and here we have the authorization key, and we're going to change the value of our token here to the one we just got, and I'm just going to save that, and we're going to run that as well. Yeah, so as you can see, we have our task created for us with the ID number 2, the title, the description, the status, the user who created it, and the time it was created as well. Now the next one we're going to look at is to get all of those tasks. Now we want to get the task that has been created, and we don't need to set a body. And here I'm just going to change the token as well. I'm going to save that. Now we're making a get request, and this is the endpoint. So I'm just going to send that as well. And as you can see, we have a list here. We have a list right here, and we just have one item, which is the task that we just created right inside of it. So the next one we're going to look at is to update our task. Yep, so recall the ID of our task is 2, so I'm just going to add that here, and in the body we have an updated value, and here we have the updated task, updated description, and the task is the status is set to true, and we're going to still change our token. Let me copy that from here once more. I think I should have that copied already. Let's try. Yep. Yeah, so I still have it copied. So I'm just going to save that, and now I'm going to run the update task test. Now we see that it has actually updated the previous task that we created with a new title, a new description, and a new status. We see it still maintains the same ID number, which shows that is the task that we created that we got that got updated. Now we're going to the delete task, and here we're just going to be deleting the task we created. I'm going to change this ID number to 2. We don't need a body, and we just need to change the token here. So I'm going to change the token, and I'm going to send that as well. And now we can see our response, nothing is being returned. So let's try and get the list once more to be sure that the task was deleted. So I'm going to run this one more time, and this should return an empty list to show that the task that has been successfully deleted, as we can see right here. So we successfully created the backend API, the REST API for our task manager. So we'll be moving on to the front end now, and I'll see you guys in the next video.